He had wealth beyond imagination. His own zoo, a private theme park and staff working around the clock. Yet behind the fame and fortune, Michael Jackson's real life was filled with fear, loneliness and secrets money. Michael Joseph Jackson was born August 29, 1958 in Gary, Indiana. He was the eighth of 10 children born to Joseph Walter Jackson and Catherine Esther Jackson. His father worked as a crane operator at U.S. Steel and played guitar in a local rhythm and blues band. His mother was a devout Jehovah's Witness who played clarinet and piano. Jackson's professional career began at age 6 when he joined his brothers in the Jackson 5. The group signed with Motown Records in 1968. They released their first single, I Want You Back, in October 1969. The song reached #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. Jackson performed as lead vocalist alongside his brother Jermaine. Joe Jackson managed the group with strict discipline. Michael recalled that his father sat in a chair with a belt in his hand. During rehearsals, Joe acknowledged that he regularly whipped Michael and his siblings. In a 1993 interview with Oprah Winfrey, Michael stated that he was so afraid of being in his father's presence that it made him vomit. He said that during his youth, he was lonely and isolated. Michael told interviewer Martin Bashir that Joe often called him names, including Big Nose, which deepened his insecurities about his appearance. Joe admitted to beating his sons with a strap. He told Oprah Winfrey in 2010 that he did not regret it, stating it kept them out of jail. Michael's sister LaToya claimed Joe sexually abused her and another sister, though other siblings denied their father was abusive. Jackson's solo career exploded with the 1979 album Off the Wall, which sold over 20 million copies worldwide. His 1982 album Thriller became the best-selling album of all time, with approximately 65 million copies sold globally. The album produced 7 top 10 singles on the Billboard Hot 100. In 1988, Jackson purchased a 2,700-acre property in Santa Barbara County, California, for approximately $20 million. He renamed it Neverland Ranch after the fictional island in Peter Pan. He spent a reported $35 million renovating the property into a private amusement park. The estate featured a 12,598 square foot 6-bedroom mansion, a 4-acre lake with waterfall, 3 guest houses, and a pool house. The property included 18 amusement rides purchased between 1990 and 1997. A Ferris wheel custom-made for Jackson in 1990 cost $215,000. The rides included a carousel, zipper, octopus, pirate ship, wave swinger, super slide, roller coaster, and bumper cars. 3 railroads operated on the property. One was a 36-inch gauge that covered approximately a quarter mile. Jackson also maintained a zoo with elephants, giraffes, crocodiles, tigers, and lions. The ranch required approximately $5 million annually for maintenance, according to court documents from 2003. Staff payments, energy bills, and insurance contributed to the enormous operating costs. Jackson held events at Neverland, including Elizabeth Taylor's wedding to Larry Fortensky in 1991 and his live interview with Oprah Winfrey in 1993. Despite earning an estimated $125 million in 1989 alone from his music career, Jackson faced severe financial difficulties. His debt started at $30 million in 1994 and escalated rapidly. A forensic accountant testified in 2005 that Jackson was spending $20 to $30 million more per year than he earned. In 2001, he borrowed $200 million from Bank of America to stay financially afloat. Court documents filed in 2024 by the executors of Jackson's estate revealed that at the time of his death, his assets were subject to more than $500 million of debt. Some of this debt accrued interest at extremely high rates. He owed approximately $40 million to concert promoter AEG for his planned This Is It tour. The estate faced claims from more than 65 creditors and multiple pending lawsuits worldwide. Forensic accountant William R. Ackerman testified during a 2013 trial that Jackson spent heavily on jewelry, expensive gifts, expensive art items, expensive cars, and expensive furniture. Jackson also donated substantial amounts to charitable organizations. The debt itself cost millions annually in interest payments. In March 2008, a foreclosure auction for Neverland Ranch was scheduled but cancelled after Colony Capital LLC purchased the loan. In November 2008, Jackson transferred the title to Sycamore Valley Ranch Company, LLC. The property became jointly owned between Jackson and Colony Capital. Jackson sold an unknown proportion of his property rights for $35 million, according to the Santa Barbara County Assessor's Office. Jackson suffered from chronic insomnia throughout his adult life. He had a documented history of using drugs to help him sleep. In 1998 or 1999, he asked dentist Dr. Christine Quinn to give him propofol to help him sleep. She refused and told him that the sleep obtained from anesthesia was not real or restful sleep. Jackson responded that it was the best sleep he ever had. Arnold Klein, Jackson's dermatologist, stated that Jackson used an anesthesiologist to administer propofol during his History World Tour in 1996 and 1997. The anesthesiologist would take him down at night and bring him back up in the morning. German doctors had used propofol to treat his insomnia during that tour. In April 2009, nurse practitioner Sherilyn Lee worked as Jackson's nutritionist. He asked her in May to provide propofol to help him sleep. She refused. Jackson told her he had been given the drug before for persistent insomnia, and that a doctor said it was safe with monitoring. On June 21st, Lee received a call from an aide saying Jackson was ill. She overheard Jackson complain that one side of his body was hot and the other cold. She suspected he was on propofol. Jackson's drug use extended beyond propofol. A 2004 police document prepared for the 2005 trial stated he was taking up to 40 alprazolam pills per night. After his death, police found multiple drugs in his home, including propofol. Some had labels made out to fraudulent names. Others were unlabeled. Mark Schaffel, Jackson's former video producer, said Jackson had used propofol, alprazolam, and sertraline. Other drugs found included omeprazole, hydrocodone, paroxetine, carisoprodol, and hydromorphone. Jackson's addiction to painkillers reportedly began after he suffered severe scalp injuries and third-degree burns during a Pepsi commercial shoot in 1984. He announced his painkiller dependence publicly when he cut his dangerous tour short in 1993 to enter a rehabilitation program. Biographer J. Randy Taraborelli stated Jackson had been addicted to painkillers periodically for decades. Jackson described himself as deeply lonely throughout his life. In his autobiography Moonwalk, he wrote that many girls wanted to get inside his head and rescue him from loneliness. He stated he believed he was one of the loneliest people in the world. He wrote that despite being rich in experiences, he was poor in moments of true joy. In Conversations with Rabbi Shmuley Botich, published in 2009, Jackson admitted to filling his home with mannequins because he felt he needed people but was too shy to be around real individuals. He said in the early 1980s that he would sit in his room and cry because it was so hard to make friends. He walked around his neighborhood at night looking for someone to talk to. Michael Jackson once told Rabbi Shmuley Boteach he wanted to understand what a real relationship felt like before he died. Despite global fame, he said he had never experienced one and felt like a lonely child hidden behind the curtain of success. In a 1993 speech, he admitted his childhood was taken from him. No Christmas, no birthdays, only rehearsals and work. His longtime bodyguards, Bill Whitfield and Javen Beard, described him as a man imprisoned by his own fame. They said paranoia and loneliness consumed him. Jackson threw grand birthday parties for his children with magicians and clowns. Yet no guests attended except teachers, nannies, and security staff. To protect his family's privacy, toy stores and movie theaters were closed for their visits, and all workers were screened, stripped of phones, and bound by confidentiality contracts. Despite layers of security, Jackson personally checked locks each night. On June 25, 2009, Jackson was found unresponsive in his Los Angeles home at age 50. His doctor, Conrad Murray, had administered a combination of sedatives and propofol. After Jackson begged, "I've got to sleep, Dr. Conrad. I must be ready for the show in England." The coroner ruled his death a homicide caused by acute propofol intoxication. Murray was later convicted of involuntary manslaughter and served 2 years in prison. At the time of his death, Jackson faced over $500 million in debt. Through years of legal restructuring, his estate recovered and is now worth more than $2 billion, an ironic fortune built long after the man himself was gone.